My name is George Ungaga, and my topic today is energy toxicants, stroke pollution, and climate change. Before I proceed, I want to take a moment to recognize my lecturer, Professor Elizabeth, PhD, and I am going to delve into causes and consequences of energy toxicants, pollution, and climate change. I will examine the ecological and social impacts through environmental sociology. That's in my slide one. I have created a total of 12 slides with detailed information about my topic of discussion, but I am going to make a summary of those slides because of time. Otherwise, if I go through the details, it's going to take me over 1 hour to finish. So, because I know students don't have time to look into the details of this presentation, I will make it as brief as possible. So I have looked at the systemic and structural causes of my topic, and I have looked into theories that explain the issues of pollution, toxicants, and climate change. You know, these are very important topics that people tend to avoid, but they end up affecting our environment. So you can see that we have theories that explain the origin, the causes, and the impacts of my topic on the environment, on the ecosystem. We have the treadmill of production, and who actually delves into the capitalism, which is now the problem. Capitalism takes advantage and focuses on the economic benefit. They don't care what they do to the environment as long as they're making a lot of money, a lot of benefits, and that's how we have ended up creating a degraded environment. And then we have the world system theory, number two, which actually looked at poor countries and the rich countries. You know that the environment is exploited by rich countries who have high technology to utilize and to use the environment. But the poor countries which are underdeveloped are not able to use the same environment as the rich countries. And then when the rich countries makes products and they transform into advanced products, they dump these other products into poor countries which have got no technology to recycle them or even to do anything to them. So countries like African countries are becoming a dumping zone. If you look at China, they are now making a lot of products. And that actually takes me to slide three. So these countries, for example, China, makes a lot of cheaper products and aims at making more resources from African countries. They know that Africa cannot afford expensive products or quality products. So they make cheaper products which are affordable in Africa. And as a result, they have ended up dumping a lot of useless and hopeless products in Africa just as a matter of in a manner of making business, but which is also another way of dumping their products in Africa. Uh, and then in my slide 3, you can continue reading the treadmill of production diagram below, which actually shows the capitalist, the ecology conflict model. And then we have the world system theory with a map showing the countries that are heavily utilizing the environment and the planet at the expense of poorer countries that actually end up becoming dumping zones for these high-tech countries. In my fourth slide, we have governmental and corporate causes. So the government cannot enforce rules and regulations to force corporates to adhere to them because corporates end up bribing governments, and then therefore the government is relaxed to enforce these rules which are meant to protect our environment. As a result, we have an ecosystem that is degrading at a very fast rate, and pollution rate is very high, leading to a lot of consequences, which I'm going to talk about in my next topics. So I have looked at the weak regulation, the fossil fuel subsidies. The government again ends up giving 7 trillion per year globally to oil, gas, and coal companies, making that energy cheaper. And then we have 5 government and corporate courses. The poor person is the one who has a high consumption rate. So in this case, we use too much energy. We drive cars here that hood smoke, factories hooting smoke to the environment, and without even care. So we have wars around the world which are using advanced chemical weapons, like the Russia-Ukraine war. They are dumping war materials into the environment without even knowing, or perhaps they are ignorant of what's going to happen to our environment or what's happening, and the consequences of that. All they care about is winning the war and grabbing themselves. I fought, I did all that to win the war. In my 6, I have looked at governmental and corporate courses. I have looked at the fossil fuel subsidy graph, which delves into the history of fossil fuel and where we are at this moment, who benefits from this fossil fuel, the social impacts, the economic impacts of this. We have the corporate lobbying infograph, which actually places corporate companies to lobby for the use of fossil fuel, and the companies have surrendered. They seem to get serious to enforce rules, but corporate goes around, they call meetings, and these corporates are able to put these politicians into their pocket and probably bribe them, and then they go underground and keep silent. And then as a result, all this defiling of the environment ends up harming innocent citizens and our ecosystem. My slide 7, we have the ecological consequences on climate and ecosystem. For example, we have the Atlantic wave changes and ice ridges. You have seen rising temperatures in many oceans, and then we have the ozone depletion, chemicals like oil refrigerants, thin ozone layers, which actually affect skin cancer, damage crops. Nowadays, many lands all over the world do not produce food, they do not produce food crops, do not produce food, do not produce cash crops because of the excessive use of chemicals, which appeared effective from the beginning, but actually which resulted into wasting land. We have mining, which actually has left a lot of land derelictions all over. We have what we call an irreversible damage. We have frozen Arctic soil, which holds methane, a super powerful greenhouse gas. And then we have pesticides on species extinction, which kills bees and butterflies. It kills animals. When chemicals are released to the environment, they kill bats. Some of you have seen bats dead on the roads when you are driving, or probably you have seen a massive death of bats in oceans, on the roads, on farms, simply because chemicals were released to the environment, which ended up poisoning these bats, and that's part of killing our ecosystem. That's a climate issue. And then 8, I have looked at the social consequences of this pollution, toxicants, and climate change. And we have a health crisis whereby toxicants have resulted into air pollution, which has killed 7 million, or which kills 7 million people per year. That's as per the World Health Organization. We have nuclear waste, which actually cause cancer. Many doctors and scientists have not come up with clear causes of cancer, but according to World Health Organization and other bodies like the NRDC, have discovered that this nuclear wastage actually results into cancer diseases. We have climate-linked diseases, we have malaria, heat strokes, and so on, according to World Health Organization. And we have economic inequality, food insecurity, and migration, climate refugees from sinking islands, e.g. Bangladesh, which actually leads into an overflow of migrants into developed countries. Number 9 slide, we have the social consequences. I have put the air pollution deaths and given a sample of countries on how they are affected. We have Afghanistan, which has the highest level of air pollution, followed by Pakistan, all away, and you can see developed countries are not so much affected by pollution. An example of that, the United Kingdom, the United States, and many other countries. These are countries, as I said previously, which have high level technology. They make products and then they utilize the planet, but the countries that become the pardon all the consequence is the poorer countries, which end up consuming much of these waste products. And then number 10, which is my conclusion and discussion, we have systemic causes into bracket capitalism and inequality, which drive pollution and climate collapse. The root of environmental problems isn't just individual actions, it's the bigger system as we live in. And that's capitalism, which has put developed countries into motion to compete, to make sure that they are utilizing and they are exhausting and they are exploiting the environment as quickly and as much as they could for economic gains without regard to environmental consequences, leading to a lot of climate catastrophes like floods. You have seen fires. You have seen how fires ransacked California recently, killing so many people, displacing so many people. You saw fire outbreaks all over the world, and that's because of that recklessness. And then we have the ecological harm, which is actually escalating. That's the biodiverse loss, toxic environments. We have animal habitats destroyed. The waters are actually becoming extinct. The lands due to mining, land derelictions. These are, when we talk of land derelictions, these are lands left behind after deep mining has been done. So this land cannot be economically viable. It cannot generate anything. You cannot grow anything there. You cannot build anything there. You cannot do anything there. It's just a big hole left, which becomes actually a socio and economic destruction. And then we have the socio-injustice device impacts, like vulnerable groups suffer most. The people who did least to cause climate change suffer the most. And then such people like low-income neighborhoods near factories face higher cancer rates. Highland nations like Tuvalu drown due to rich countries. And in my slide 11, I have put the references I used to do my research, and it's quite a number. There are up to 12 references. That brings the end to my presentation. I thank you so much for listening and looking at my presentation, and see you next time. Thank you.